Welcome, Az. Episode 5. Thanks for coming. You want to plug us in, mate, and we'll get going.
Good to be here.
Beautiful. For those that don't know Az, which is going to be very rare, 2022-2023 won 4 titles for the Australian Jockey Championship. What else? What other titles did you win that year?
That were the 4.
Yep.
Which that's pretty well. That's all you can win.
Yep.
Yeah. As a jockey, there's only 4 things you can win in a season. That's if you were to win all of them.
Yep.
You could win 1, you could win 2, you could win 3, when you win 4. But
and how many did you win that year?
Yeah, all 4.
All of them.
Yeah. So I won the Country New South Wales.
Yep.
New South Wales, Country Australia, and then obviously the pinnacle is the Australian Premiership, and yeah, that wasn't easy to do. It was very hard. I remember it was 6 weeks out from the end of the season, and I said to the wife, I said I've sort of got to be running off no sleepy. I've nearly got to be doing every day of riding, which I don't like to do.
Yep.
And obviously to do everyday riding and me losing weight at the same time, it's not easy. So yeah, so for me to achieve it, to ride every day, it was just it had to be done. And the reason I had to do that was because I was 20 wins behind.
Yep.
The leading rider at the time, which was James Orman, and it was going to take everything to sort of run him down, and went to the last day, which was good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And mate, like, do you start a season, like, did you start that season going, right, this is my goal, or do you start most season going, this is my goal, or did you just get like halfway or a couple weeks into the season going, I'm going really good, I'm going to chase this? Like, how does that come about?
Yeah, look, good question. This is one of them games you can't make things happen.
Yep.
And like you can set out goals and all that, and I've done it in the past, but unfortunately it just doesn't go that way.
Yep.
It's just one of them things that you can say, I want to do this, want to do that, want to do this. But for me, I just take every opportunity that comes.
Yep.
And give them horses every chance I can, and ride them the best I can to get the wins that I do.
Yep.
And but to answer that straight up, as I've got older, I just set out to ride 100 winners a year.
Yep.
Which for me is achievable, and not many jockeys can ride 100 winners a year.
Yep.
But to ride 100 is tough.
Yeah.
But to do 200 in that year, that's at another level. Not many. Like, I think I was the first New South Wales rider in 13 years to ride 200 winners since Alan Robinson. So
that's unreal.
And he held the Australian record of 124 wins before Willie Pike broke it. He held it for 15 years, or 13 years before Willie Pike broke it 2 years ago.
And mate, like, inside the, I guess, working industry, the horse industry, I'm assuming that's your biggest achievement, that's your greatest achievement, your proudest one?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I'm very fortunate that I fell into a job out of school that I absolutely love, and yeah, it's very, very competitive, and that's sort of what I've always been like my whole life. So I don't know if having a twin brother's been a contributor to that.
Pushing you along the whole way.
Yeah, but look, I fell into a job I love, and I give it away there for a little bit and went and worked on the roads in my early 20s.
Yeah, right. Yep.
But that was just because I wasn't educated and never had the background in how it was all meant to go down as a jockey. But pretty well since I left school. Apart from them 3 years.
Yep.
I've been a jockey, and been very fortunate to fall into a job that I love. I was talking to a good mate coming here tonight, and he's still up in arms at 34.
Yeah.
Wherever he's in the right job, and I've been doing it my whole working life.
That's good. Yeah. We'll touch on that in a second, mate. We'll get into a bit of school and what you've done when you left. But you've just come off, I spoke to you last week about coming on this week, and you've just come off 4 days of racing. And I watched you on Friday, and you got 3 winners. You had 5 rides, did you? 5 rides, 3 winners, 2 seconds?
Yeah, Tamworth was that? Yeah,
yes.
Was it Tamworth? Yeah, I had 8 rides, 3 were scratched, so I was back to 5.
Yes.
And me 2, no, was it Muswellbrook, sorry?
On the Friday, yes,
Friday,
correct,
yeah.
Yep.
And my 2 best rides were out, and I was going to races. I mightn't have a good day here. And
yep.
Anyways, took the wife and the little fella with me that day, so I think they're a bit of a luck for me.
For sure.
And we had a good day. I had back to the 5 and got 3 winners in 2 seconds.
Mate, you had a good weekend. So as I said, I only watched the Friday, and then obviously life gets in the way, so I didn't watch the Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But overall, on the Friday, you had the 3 winners. On the Saturday, you had another winner and a couple of places. On the Sunday, another winner in a couple of places, and then on Monday, you had 2 winners, 2 seconds, and then a 7th. You've had a cracker of a weekend.
Yeah, I have, yeah, and plenty of miles in between.
Yeah, I bet.
Went from Musbrook on the Friday to Newcastle on the Saturday. Sunday went to Port, and then we finished the 4-day stretch off at Tamworth. So yeah, it was a good weekend, and riding winners is obviously part of the game, and you try to achieve that. But you also got to be a good loser as well.
Yep.
You got to learn to win and lose, because in this game you actually lose more than you win.
For sure. And I actually looked at your stats before you got here. So all up, you've had about 5,400 rides
In my career.
in your career.
Yeah, right. Didn't know that. There's a lot.
You've had about 1,000 wins. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
At a 19.2% win rate.
Yeah, I know I broke the 1,000 winners at Tamworth on one of Matt Griffith's about
1,052 to be exact.
Yeah, it was about 3 months ago on
Yep.
Matt Griffith trained horse at Tamworth.
Mate, so you're out of your 5,400, you're at a 19% win rate. You're at a 47% place rate, and your ROI is 0.79 out of 1. So you're pretty much at an 80% return on investment. That's huge.
Well, for a fellow that runs a business, I'm sure you'd be better with numbers than me. But
That's
obviously if you get a return of that and you're a punter, be good.
100%. And mate, as it says, you are, if not one of the most consistent jockeys in Australia. Well, that's crazy, and especially to be, just from a local country town. That's nuts. You'd have to be proud of that.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I feel that, I don't know, everything in life you sort of, if you want to be good at it, you got to put your heart and soul into it. And This is one of them games that, if you're not, you're going to get caught out.
For sure.
It's one of them games that if you don't put everything into it, you don't get it back. But I don't know. I think it goes back to Dad just always teaching us, if you work hard, you only get out what you put in. So
For sure.
I just feel working hard and giving everything I got. That's all I've ever known. So and I feel that definitely contributes to the success, because I know there's a lot of blokes out there with more ability than me, but I know at the end of the day, in myself, I can work harder than them.
Mate, I've said this is episode 5, and I've said this in all 5 episodes because something like this comes up. Craig Bellamy, who's one of the top NRL coaches of our time, of NRL, one of his sayings is, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I've said it in every single episode, and it just keeps coming up, and it just proves that, you can be the most talented person in the world, as a jockey, as a business owner, as a soccer football player, but someone will always beat you if they're working harder than you. So the hard work is at the forefront if you want to become so successful.
100%.
Yeah.
It's what it is, because you don't get given anything. Nothing's given to you.
For sure.
And I feel that if you learn that and then put it into place, you're going to be successful. No matter what you do. If you
Well, it shows.
Yeah. If you give it everything and work hard, you'll come out on top. Because I was never gifted with ability. I never had it. I was never better than anyone before me or after me or anything like that, or even learn to even grow up or ride a horse. But I know one thing, that when I put my heart and soul into it to try to be the best I can, it took a lot of time.
For sure.
It took a lot of years to get to where I am, and it's been a tough road, but I feel that the last few years have really been rewarding for me. And
that's good.
Yeah.
And mate, touching on that, so you went to school at Singleton High here, did you? In Singleton?
Yeah, correct.
Yep. And went through school with, you were in the same year as Hardy, Corey, Nev, Miller, all them boys.
Yeah.
Very rough crew.
A few rough eggs, yeah. Got ourselves in a bit of trouble when we were younger.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but
Definitely.
look, that was a good time of our life, and growing up in Singleton, I love it, mate, and that's why I live in Newcastle now. I've been there since 2017, and mate, you give me the opportunity to come back to Singleton today to do this podcast, and to be honest, I jumped at it. I love getting back here.
That's good.
Going to see the family, and it was a good town to grow up in, and I'll never forget my time here. I'm not sure if my kids will grow up here. We've got a little fella now, so I shouldn't say kids, but my son. But
what's his name?
Yeah, Finn.
Finn, 8 months old.
8 months old, yeah.
Nice, good age.
I'm not sure if he'll get to grow up in Singleton, but Newcastle's. If he does in Newcastle, he'll probably have it a little bit better than I did. So it was a great town to grow up in.
What do you reckon, you'll be a jockey?
Yeah, well, his mother and father are, so maybe I won't hold him back. But if he's a heavyweight like Dad, I'll be definitely I'll be trying to steer the ship in another direction.
Yeah, definitely. And mate, what did you do when you left school? So obviously, did you go to high school? Finish high school here?
Yeah, finished my intense certificate.
Yeah.
And I was 6 months before I finished school, or 12 months, sorry. We were sort of doing our work experience, and I'd done a week. I divided it. I'd done a week at Coolmore.
Yes.
And I did a week at West Track.
Yep.
And I soon learned, knowing that I loved the outdoors and animals.
Yep.
My passion was to be outdoors, and as fate would have it, I grew up with a friend called Joy Howlett, and his father, and we used to spend a bit of time at their place as kids. He said, "You should try to be a jockey," and didn't think nothing of it. And anyways, one thing led to another, and Maxie Howlett said to me many occasions, "Go over to Todd's and see him." And he actually lived across the road from Mum and Dad up at the hilltop. And I just went over and asked for a job, and it was never that I wanted to be a jockey, because I never even knew how to ride. I'd never ridden a horse. Grew up on a bit of farmland and that, but one thing led to another, and Todd did all the hard work and pushed me down the road to get me riding, and taught me how to ride. And it was a long, slow process, because it wasn't easy. And as I stated before, I wasn't gifted with it. I didn't even know how to ride. Didn't even know how to ride trot. And people that have watched this that have ridden horses will have a laugh about it, because it just, I didn't even know how to be in sync with the horse.
Yeah, right.
Knew nothing of that. And anyway, so I started, once I finished year 10, I pretty well started my apprenticeship straight away.
With Todd
With
Howlett?
Todd Howlett,
Yeah, nice.
I did my 4 years with him.
Yep.
Them 4 years were stretched out over 7.
Yes.
I was in and out, just being a young wild kid as
sure.
most people are, and my apprenticeship took me a lot longer to finish than normal. Give it away for a little bit. Went and worked on the Hunter Expressway for 3 years. Tried to follow the route that my old man and my grandfather did on working on road jobs. So I did that for 3 years, and then I thought about it every day. I had the racing channel on at work on a Saturday, going and get smugger for the boys. I worked for Thies, which was the Hunter Expressway was divided into 2 sections. It was Abbey Group and Thies.
Rightio.
So I worked for the main contractor of Thies, and then we had all subcontractors. So I was more or less a foot soldier, just running around doing all the labour work and a little bit of machine work. But it was a good time in my life, because I got to have my weekends free. Yeah. And be an 18, 19, 20 or 20, 21, 22 year old at the time, and no one on the road job knew me as Aaron Bullock. They only knew me as Jockey. It was just a nickname that I got. So and I guess once I finished the job, then I went back riding, and I've been doing it ever since.
Like, and that break's good as well. Like, you know, if you had just stuck to jockeying the whole time, you know, you could get to where you are now, going, oh, what if I had done that? What if I had done this? So by having that break as well, you've tried something else, and you've gone, no. I know what I want. I'm going back to that. So
definitely,
that's a good little break to have there.
It is, like, because you've been there, you've done it, and for where I'm at now, the road job doing 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, pays good money, just as good as the mines, and that's sort of the next pay bracket down from being a jockey. And I'll tell you now, it's a big gap, and you work for 12 hours a day. Like I do 16-hour days now, but I can have 3 or 4 days off a week, or I work for myself. For sure. So I know that it's not as rewarding as what I'm doing now, and I always knew I'd go back to it. But being there and seen it and done it, and I'm a black sheep in the family where I haven't done a road job or haven't worked in the mines, which my brother and my sister and my father do. Mum worked for the local single Nagas her whole life. She's administration there. Like I've sort of gone down an avenue that was definitely. Yeah, a lot of people growing up as kids and all that, the easy routes to sort of follow the family path, isn't it?
Yep, 100%. My dad's a feed machinist, and I kind of took the opposite route of that. And I went to the electrician, the smarter route. But
I don't know. I went the jockey route. I think the animals and the farming and all that sort of played a key role, but. And the competitive side of it, I love that. 100%. Love that about it. Yeah.
And mate, you touched on before. One of my questions here that I had for you, and more of a personal question for me, is you said that you didn't even know how to be in sync with the horse. How important is it as a jockey to have a relationship with the horse and you know, be in sync with the horse and have that relationship to progress further?
Yeah, huge, because you got to remember, like, you've only got 2 minutes to gel with that animal going to the barriers. from the time you get on it, and most of the time you've never ridden it.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you've gone into track work and you know the horse, or you've ridden it in a race previous,
Yep.
or a barrier trial, you don't really know the horse. And for me, at the stage of the career I'm at now, I've just got a manager who books my rides,
Mm-hmm.
and I just tell him the race meetings I'm going to. So he books whatever trainers ring up for me for them meetings, books the rides, so I could have 8 rides a day, every day if I want. But let's just say a race day, 8 rides a day. So you could be on 6 horses you've never ridden before.
Yeah.
So you've got a short window to gel with the horse and get a feel of them, and they're not all the same. Like they're all different. Some will pull hard on others. Some are more responsive. Some are they're all different. So you just got to learn that little bit when you go to the gates.
Get a bit of a touch and then obviously adapt when you're on the racetrack.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. Some never get it, and some just get it. You know, it's. But look, I was never gifted with that. Like I stated previous, it's one of them things that I had to work on. That took me years.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of time. And I see kids come into the industry now, and they want it all to happen, and I'm quick to remind them of how long it can take. You know, it just doesn't happen overnight.
100%. And so your first ride was in 2007 at Mussey.
Correct.
Sorry, at Gunnedah.
Tamworth.
Tamworth, was it?
Yeah, the Tamworth over a mile.
2007 in January.
Yep.
Then your first win was 5 months later in June at Mussey.
Yeah, Musbrook on a horse called TG.
TG.
For Jeremy Sylvester, Cessnock trainer.
That would have been a highlight, getting that first win.
Yeah, it was. And you know, it was a pickup ride.
Right.
Yeah, a girl by the name of Emily. Can't think of her name now. But anyways, it was a pickup ride. She had an incident in the barriers.
Rightio.
She had an incident in the barriers at the barrier trials, and Jeremy's best friend Robert Thompson, and he said to Robert, who do I put on this horse? And he said, oh, I'll give the young kid a go, Aaron. And anyway, so he put me on it, and I'll never forget it to this day. We're coming to the 600, and I'd only had probably 10 rides before that.
Yep.
And never been in the industry before, so couldn't get a go. Like 6 months I'd had no rides, like it's unheard of.
Yeah.
And anyways, come to the 600, Robert and Robert Thompson and Robbo were in the race, and Robert goes to me, can't attend, and like me saying previous that I've only had probably 10 rides before it, they were all slow, like the horses couldn't have, I could have run quicker than them.
Yep.
Anyways, I've never gone to the 600 and gone, whoa, horse, like asking the horse to come back under me.
Yep.
And anyone that knows that when you're asking the horse to wait at the 600, like, you're not going to get beat. It's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It's going to let rip. And I remember Robert saying, can't to 10, Jock, can't to 10. And I reckon I got to 5.
Unleash
it.
it.
A bit anxious and then Robbo's coming to me in the favourite. I still got the photo on the wall in the shed. He runs second on a horse of Brett Partelli's called Wind Beneath My Wings.
Yep.
And he was coming to me at the 100 and he's yelling out, whip it, Jock, whip it, like, because he didn't want to beat me.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
that's unreal.
But that was my first ever winner, and I'll never forget it because it's a feeling that it's a first. So it's a feeling that you.
Bit of relief too.
Yeah, definitely. But it's a feeling that you only get once because you only ever win your first ever race once.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, well, your first ever winner once, not first ever race. A lot of jockeys win their first race. Yep. And good luck to them, and it happens more so now.
For sure.
But yeah, for me, it took me 6 months. Took me a long time.
Yeah. And growing up, so like starting at Todd's and getting into the industry in 2007. Did you have someone that you looked up to in the jockey industry or even in the horse industry? And has that changed now? Do you still look up to that person, or as the goalpost changed and you look towards different jockeys now? What's
Yeah. So when I first started, I was obviously the boys at the time that were riding the most winners was like your Alan Robertsons, your Dale Spriggs, and all them. And I definitely looked up to them to what they did and how they were as riders. More so Spriggsy and Alan Robertson as riders, but the hard workers who I really looked up to was like your Grant Buckley and your Jeff Penzers, because they just worked day in, day out. Yeah. And look, I was in the country, so I was mingling with them boys more.
Yep.
Not really the city boys. But when I first started, they were sort of the boys that I really wanted to replicate on, and if I could be half as good as them, I was happy, and not even just talking for ability. Like I remember just looking at like Jeff and Grant who ride every day, and I just said I just want to be as hard as worker as them. And as fate would have it, I've passed them both in probably riding the most winners in a season, and a lot of hard work's paid off for me over the years. But I still look up at them as people and riders. They're great. They're great guys to be around in the jockeys room, and it is good people. Yeah.
And just on that, the question I have written down, but you said there you're a country jockey, unlike the city jockeys. When you go to Randwick and places like that, is there a bit of like, is it just like, the country boys are here and the city boys are there, or is there a bit of animosity there, or what?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Some of them are definitely like the city boys are really respectful guys. Like and a lot of them are there. Like they're the best. You know what I mean? They're not there. They're not there for no reason. Like if they're riding down there every Wednesday, Saturday, they're there for a reason. They're the top of the game. They're the best that we got. Sydney's very competitive market for jockeys. But you might get the old one here and there. If an incident happens out in the track, you might hear a little smart remark of, you shouldn't be riding here, you're not good enough to ride here. Never towards me. Fortunate for that, but I've definitely heard it being said around, and a few of the country boys might get a little bit offended by it. But I sort of always, probably because the consistency I ride, and when I go down there I can hold my own. They've always got a high respect for me, and I appreciate that. Every time I go down there, they're very, very welcome, say good day. I go down there and take a bit of their money here and there and go home. But I enjoy that. I don't have to be down there full time.
Definitely. What's a general week look like for you? So obviously, most people get the luxury of just working Monday to Friday, where you're kind of the opposite. Like the big races are on the Friday, Saturdays. Yeah. So what's a general week look like for you, especially now for family and an 8-month-old?
Yeah, well, so before, I'll answer that question, before I had Finn to now, and even before I had a wife, I'd sort of be in and out. I'd make good money and ride a lot of winners, and then I'd be like, I can just cruise now. And then when I went and obviously bought my first home, then things changed again because you're out on your own, so you've got a lot more time on your hands, and you don't have mum and dad looking after you. So then I sort of had to ride more consistent and learn to do things better, which then I started changing the way I rode with weight-wise, so I wouldn't ride so light so I could ride more consistent.
Yes.
So I went from riding 56.5 6 months a year to riding 58 maybe 12 months a year. And look, the reason I say that is because when you're riding so light, you can't maintain it. And it took me a lot of years to work that out. So anyways, that's where I'm at now. I sort of stayed on that 58 and I can only ride for 12 months. And since I've had, obviously everyone's the same, when they've got mortgages and things to pay, you sort of push that little bit harder. So since I've had them, I've definitely learned to do things, like I said, better and be more consistent. And since the wife's come along, that's helped me stay in the groove more. And I've been with my wife now, Amelia, for 6 years, and I feel it's the best I've ever gone. She definitely keeps me grounded and helps me be more consistent. And since the little fella's come along, it's just, I've had to learn to just prepare better.
For sure.
I mean, like I can be away from work to 3-4 days a week, and ride them 4 days a week, but just not do the long ones. But I like to only sort of do 2 hours to 4 hour trips to and back. So that's 2 hours there, 2 hours back, or 3 hours, 4 hours, no more. Anything more than that's too much, because then I can still get home.
For sure.
And for me, the main reason to get home is because I've got to sweat every day. So, and like you might see me racing all weekend, but you've got to remember I have most Mondays off, most Tuesdays, Thursdays. So I sort of just look at it in the scheme of things,
Definitely.
And I'm not 18 anymore. I don't need to be hanging with the boys when I'm
on the weekend.
Down
most
at the pub on a
important.
Friday or Saturday. So, and my wife's lucky she don't have to work, so she stays home with the little fella. So on my days off, we go and do things together.
Perfect.
So that's that's
It's
where
good balance.
Yeah, it's good balance, but also to answer that the way I really want to answer it, for me, there's no days off. So what I mean by that is, like, not many people would understand this, but for me, I've got to be a jockey, I've got to be a dietitian,
Yep.
I've got to keep my body fit,
Yep.
I've got to keep my weight down. Like if I don't have my weight right, I don't have a job.
Yep.
Like I don't. It's hard to actually put into words. Like
Definitely.
Imagine if you woke up in the morning and you're 60 kilos,
Yep.
and you have to ride, your lightest ride's 58, for example. So you got to lose 2 kilos or you can't work.
Yep.
So then that's the pressure that I've had to learn to work with as well.
For sure.
That I've had to do. So for me, my week is on my days off. I started with, I've got a twin brother, right? So he's 70 kilos. So for me, if I was to let myself go an easy 2 days,
Yep.
then or 2 weeks, mate, I'm 65 at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
66, 67,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll let myself get to 64, 65 when I'm on a holiday or having a break.
Yep.
Which for me doesn't happen often. But the more you let yourself get up, the longer the harder it is to get back. So for me now, I'm sitting at 62.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I ride 58.
Yep.
But that's a happy medium.
Yeah.
Your body's not fighting you too much, but then it's also letting you take it off. So for me, I sit around the 62, 61, 62. That's what I like to sit around. That's dieting and just getting a light jog in on my days off.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so if I'm 62 the day before, or 61, 62 the day before the races, I'll do about 8k jog with sweat gear on, and then I'll sit in the sauna and spa, which I've got that in the shed. Touching about growing up in Singleton, I used to get down, when I had no money, I used to get down here in the sauna, and blokes twice my size would put eucalyptus oil on the hot rocks, and I swore to myself I'd never ever sit in a sauna again. That was outside of my home. So I went and bought a hot rock sauna when I got enough money, and
Yep.
and went and bought a spa, and I got the full setup at home.
Yeah.
So once I jog for about 8k of sweat gear on, that's about a kilo,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll come back and sit in the sauna and sit in the spa, and then I can usually get another kilo, a little bit more out.
So what it takes about 24. So if you're at 62 comfortably,
Yep.
it takes about 24 hours to get to that riding weight of 58-ish,
Yep.
and get into it.
Yeah, so I'll do 2 to 2.5 the night before.
Yep.
And then put on half kilo, so a little bit of fluid,
Mm-hmm.
couple of boiled eggs, bugger all to eat, and then race day's just a hot bath. So when I get the fluid levels, the spa's at 40.5, so I sweat good at that when I'm with fluids between 62 and 60.
Yep.
But when I've got to get from 60 to 68, I've got to have the bath between 43 and 46 degrees.
Man,
And you can't have it too hot because you cook,
Yep.
but you can't have it too cold because you won't sweat. Yeah.
Mate, that was one of my questions: is how hard is it to make weight, which you've just explained, and like a lot of things that, as you said, like you're constantly working. A lot of things that people wouldn't understand is, me for example, I'm one that goes on holidays all the time, and people listening to this, start pissing themselves laughing because they're always into me on my holidays. I'm lucky enough that my job, I can work remotely. I do sales within my company, so I have people that run the office and the day-to-days in the workshop, and my predominant role in the company is just to sell solar and electrical work. So I can do that from anywhere in the world. But when I go on holidays, my diet stops, and I just go, oh, this is good, that's good, this is good. That obviously can't happen for you, because if it does, then your 2-week holiday might blow out to a 4-6-week holiday. Correct. Because you've got to come back and get back into that work routine, as
Correct.
You said.
Yep, correct. So funny as it is, like when we booked the honeymoon for our wedding, I said to the wife, we'll go anywhere as long as it's warm. So Thailand it was, and that was so I wouldn't get too heavy.
Yep.
But the hardest thing is the cold country. Like when you go to cold country. So my wife's from New Zealand. If I always go back to New Zealand, it sticks to you a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah. But the warmer weather, you can sort of keep it off. I remember going jogging over there, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna cook here. But for me, it's as I was younger, it was a lot harder to stay in that frame of mind to diet.
Yep.
But as I've got older, it still beats me sometimes. I'm not gonna sit here and tell porkies. It's not easy. I'll get you that. I'll give you that for red hot tip. Some days it beats me. Some days it doesn't. Some days I don't make weight. Some days I do. But I caught the penalties for that. The stewards come down pretty hard on it. Like if you're 100 grams over, they won't let you ride. Yeah, and 100 grams is bugger all. But anyway,
Doesn't just be having a squirt of water before you actually. Yeah. Wow.
But you got to remember, like I said before, if my lightest ride's 58, I've got to rip back from 60 to 58, 2 kilos. It's a 2-hour process. That's in the bath every day. Then I've got to drive 3 or 4 hours there. But my light ride, if acceptances come out 4 hours before, 3 days before the races, if your light ride's first, then you got heavier through the day. You make up and weight. At Saturdays you can have a drink. My light ride's last.
Opposite.
Yeah, if it's last, well then you got to get through the whole day. You can't have one mouthful of water. Yeah, but so anyways, I've learned as I've got older to be more. You're just more disciplined.
Yeah.
And you do things better. Yeah, when you're younger.
You learn.
Yeah, you learn. Yeah, and as you get older, your metabolism slows and all that. Like when you're younger, you're always a bit hungrier, and you like I might finish riding for a 4-day stretch and pig out, and the next minute I'm bloody 65. You can't be doing that.
Yeah.
So as I've got older, you obviously bounce, your weight will bounce, but then I've got to rip back into it. And look, at the stage I'm in my career now, the only really thing, like the riding's easy, the dealing with the owners and the trainers is easy, the talking on the phone and just every aspect outside of the training and the weight, it's easy. The only hard part for me now is just keeping the weight and the diet. And look, it's well documented. I'm heavyweight, and it's tough keeping my weight down. But like like stated before, when I don't have any days off, like even on my days off at home with the family or doing things, I always make sure I put in a jog or a hard sweat. Like don't muck around. Like make yourself feel pain because it shrinks your stomach.
Yep.
Because if you let yourself go too much, it just takes too long to get back.
Definitely.
So I like to keep in the groove, but also when I have a break, I'll let myself go for a week.
Yep.
And then just make sure I spend 2 weeks or a week getting it back off before I get my manager to take rides again.
And how tough is that mentally? So obviously the physical side of things hard, but physical side of things you can push through, right? How tough does that become mentally? One, obviously in the day-to-day trying to get there, but two, being so consistent. Like I know myself, trying to be consistent in the gym has always been my downfall. This is probably the best I've been. I've been 2 years consistently. And once you get past that hurdle and you get into routine, it just flows. But how hard is it mentally for you in that side of things?
Well, yeah, it's actually a good question because the mental side of things is the hardest because doing things, you got to tell yourself to do it.
Yeah.
So if you tell yourself to do it and then you don't do it, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you train yourself to just, when you tell yourself to do it, so for me, on my days off when I have to train, like there's no point in me going and eating breakfast, lunch and dinner and going and training, it's pointless.
Yeah.
So I've got to first tell myself to stick to a diet, then I've got to first tell myself to train. Like it's a matter of, you just got to get it done, because if you don't do it, and being such a weight dependent game, you'll get caught out. And if you eat certain things that your body wants to eat or you want to eat, and we all want to eat what we can't have.
Definitely.
And like I feel it's moderation, and I know myself that like I can run off bugger all and go all day, but when you eat more, I feel more sluggish. But I reckon to answer that question properly and the best I can is you got to train the brain, just train yourself to just do it, and your body can handle anything.
Yeah, 100% it can.
Yeah, your body will handle. You'll handle whatever you want to put it through.
Mate, it's amazing what your body can handle.
Yeah, for me, like it's pain. Like I get out of that bath and run a bath one day around 45 degrees and you'll be skin red.
Wow.
And like I do 15-minute hits, have a break, 15-minute hits, and like it's not easy. But for the jogging and the sticking to the diet's the hardest. Like the jogging with sweat gear and the training, and the discipline to stick to a diet, that is the hardest. Yeah, like I might look good at your body wise. It's 60, 58, but you don't feel good.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, at 65, I feel $1 million. But like but you're heavier.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyways, I feel you're not just training your body, you're training your mind.
And so you're 34 at the moment, I believe.
Correct.
How long do you reckon you can do it for? Like what's your plan? What's your goal? How long do you reckon you can just keep mentally doing that for?
Yeah, well, it's funny as I've got older, I've actually gotten better and gotten better at doing things, and obviously a maturity thing and doing all that, and you definitely do things better as you get older. But look, I don't want to be I don't want to be a 50-year-old jockey mate riding around and having 2 or 3 rides. I want to be at the top of my game, and finish at the top of my game. And look, if I could do it till I've said to the wife before, if I could do it till I'm 40,
yep.
I'll be really happy. And look, I'm 34 now, and if I was to finish now, I've achieved
100%.
I've achieved more than I ever dreamt of. I remember when I finished my apprenticeship. I remember when I started my apprenticeship, I was struggling with my weight.
Yep.
And I was like 16.
Well, you're about my height, right?
Yeah.
And mate, you're saying these weights, and I'm sitting there going, I could never be that weight. Like,
Yeah.
And we're the same height.
Yeah.
Like,
the muscle, you're solid too, and like my genetics is solid, you know. Like,
Yeah.
see the jockeys and other jockeys.
Look at your brother as well. Like.
Yeah, well, I'm a lot broader in the shoulders, and I'm 50-50 of being able to be a jockey, to be honest. Like I'm 50% I could easily throw the towel in,
Mm-hmm.
or 50% do the hard work and make it work, and I've just chose the hard work. So yeah, it's
Paid off.
Yeah, but I could honestly finish now and be happy. Like I remember when I started, like I said before, when I started apprenticeship, I said if I can finish my apprenticeship, I'll be happy. I've achieved something that I've set out to do, and I'm still doing it. And 18 years later,
Yeah, that's awesome.
some days I think to myself, yeah, crazy. So, but
Definitely.
if I can, mate, I'll be happy to finish my career around 40, and look, I could get to 40, mate, and still be riding at 45.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know I don't want to be.
Go too far.
I don't want to be chipping away at 45 and not get many rides like some of them do. I don't want to be that sort of person.
For sure.
And look, for what it takes for me to ride, like I can sit here and explain to you about the sweating and the training, and it's an everyday. Like it's you wouldn't believe, Coop. It's on my mind every minute of the day. If it's not on my mind, like the dieting and the training and what I've got to do to prepare for 3 hours a day, I couldn't be a jockey. It's just, and that's what burns some jockeys out. They don't have that mental strength
100%.
to keep it going. So for me, what it takes to actually ride,
Yep.
if I wasn't getting the success and
Definitely.
and what I'm getting out of it,
Yep.
I wouldn't do it.
And it wouldn't be enjoyable as well. Like, so
Nah.
obviously you put in the hard work, and you
Yeah.
see now you're reaping the rewards. Like
Yeah.
them statistics we just went through.
Yeah.
You look at them and you're like,
Yeah.
man, I'll do this every day of the week.
Yeah.
But when that starts coming to a halt,
Yeah, well,
you're not going to put your body and your
do
mind
something.
through what,
Do
especially when
something,
you've got a young fella and
Yeah.
you've got the wife at home.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other better things to be doing.
Correct.
If that starts
Yeah.
happening. So
It's hard. Well, I'm still at the top of my game.
For sure.
But it's a hard question to answer. But
definitely.
I'm a realist. I've definitely thought about it.
Yep.
I've definitely thought where I want to be and what I want to do. And I reckon. And I don't want to think too much about other things at the minute, because I'm a big believer that when you can concentrate on one job,
Yep.
you'll be very good at it.
Yep.
If you concentrate on 2 or 3, especially when you got to do what I've got to do, it's not easy.
Mate, I recently have been, and what I'm about to say, I don't know if you'll pick up on it or not, but when other people used to say this, I used to be like, oh, I'm not a hippie, like this is hippie bullshit, like I'm not getting into that. But manifesting. So I've read 2 books recently about manifesting, and the only reason I read them is because I watched a TikTok actually of Kobe Bryant, and he said, I read this book about manifestation, and then he said, so did Conor McGregor. And so I read up about it, and all these professional athletes have read this book. So I read it. It's probably the 3rd book I've ever read in my life. And so I read that one. I moved on to a second one, and that's what they talk about. Like, you just focus on if you focus on something hard enough, it just comes true. And that's the whole point of manifesting. Like, when I used to get told things about manifesting, and I'm like, oh, hippies do that. They sit here with their crystals and whatnot, and that's what. But no, it's training your mind to focus on one thing and believe in that one thing hard enough, and it just happens.
100%. Yep. And it's definitely a good way of thinking, and it's definitely a thing that works, because I know myself that, like, I could have given up hundreds of times.
Yep.
Hundreds of times I could have given up, and some days I've sat down and thought, what am I doing? Like, I'm sitting on the deck with a broken shoulder, and I've got to go for surgery. I'm having no luck, and things aren't going my way, or there's so many things that get you down. But you've got to realise that if you were to just get to here, especially in a career, and it just be an all uphill spiral, like, it just doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
You got to come back down or get knocked down. Like, for where I'm at now, I'd have been knocked off that pedestal 50 times, 100 times, 200 times. But you just got to keep going. You get a little bit higher, and then keep going again.
100%.
And like, for me, like, it's a hard one in this game. Like, you can manifest to just show up and just do everything you can to be the best you can, and then it's funny how it works that then everything comes into play that you were thinking, can this really happen to me, or can I achieve that?
Yeah.
And then it just happens.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just as simple as explaining. You just got to show up and do it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mate, we'll go into a bit of a recap on last week. So you'll like this. I consider myself a good punter, so I give some tips out. Bit of a laugh, bit of a carry on for people at home to watch. So on the weekend, I had my my best of the day was Floozy, and it won well. I had Aerodrome, Sean's horse.
Yep.
It's
JJ
with Michael
Atkins.
Freeman. It was in the JJ Atkins.
Yep.
It come fifth, so it's a Group 1. It's its fourth start. As I said to Sean, it was barrier 15, so it led, which it had to, come around the bend there, and obviously it led most of the way. So found it a bit tough towards the end there. Some good horses come past, but for a fourth start for a horse to get in a Group 1 and come fifth, you'd have to be happy with that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yep.
Look, I'm a jockey that I don't really ask too much about other horses. I make decisions up when I look at them and see how it is
Yep.
for it is, because you see things different, and even for a punter like yourself, you learn to read and see things different than actually
Yep.
what it is out there sometimes. But I did ask Regan Bayless when he rode that horse,
Yes.
mainly because it's a single known horse, and
Definitely.
my sister works for Sean, and obviously you guys are cousins, is that right?
Sean's my uncle.
Oh, uncle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sean's mum's brother.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So obviously an interest in Singleton. So I asked him the question when he rode it, and I'm good friends with Regan. He's a great guy.
Yep.
I hit him up at Newcastle when he rode there, and said, "What do you think of this Aerodrome?" And not leading on that I knew Sean or anything like that, but I hit him up and he said, "Mate, I really like the horse. It's going to be a smart horse." And obviously they've raised the bar quick with it, and
Yeah.
look, it's performed, but you'll see it come back even better next time. And he was under the assumption as well, but I can tell you now, whatever that horse is done as a 2-year-old now, and for being such a big gross horse,
Yep.
he'd be even better as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, that's what they say. And something Sean said to me about Regan is as you said before, you don't really get to do a lot of track work with the horse and whatnot to get that connection. But he's been flying up to Brisbane to do the track work with the horse. So when a jockey's doing that, I'm assuming they see some good things in the horse and they really want to get that connection to have a good career with it.
Yeah, well, you do that. You do the extra miles.
Yep.
So like when you come across good horses, you just got to do them extra things. Like I know for me, for example, like Know Thyself.
Yeah.
Paul never asked me to go do any track work, and I done track work when I finished my apprenticeship for many years in Newcastle, which was good. But now I sort of don't do any track work.
Yes.
But when people ask, especially Paul Massara and on horse and other self, you just do the extra miles. And
Definitely.
I went and galloped him in between the championships qualifier at Tamworth, which he ran 5th.
Yes.
And the wild card.
Yep.
I got him in between, and that was on the course prop at Scone, and I was like, he won't get beat.
Wow,
This
that's awesome.
This fella's flying. But that's just to put in sight the extra miles you're doing for him to go fly to Brisbane, especially being through the week,
Yep.
when he's probably got a ride here at Warwick Farm or Canterbury on a Wednesday.
Yep.
And then horses will be doing their fast work on a Saturday, ready for on a Tuesday, ready for a Saturday. That just shows you that he's definitely. And as a jockey, you got to do it because it's a ruthless game. As I stated before, there's over 800 and something registered jockeys in Australia,
Yep.
and Brisbane is actually the only carnival where the 3 states sort of align. Like you won't. So what I'm trying to say is all the good jockeys from Melbourne and Sydney will go to Brisbane.
Yes.
And then you've got the Brisbane jockeys there. So it's a ruthless market up
For
there.
sure.
But you never really get your Brisbane jockeys go to Melbourne.
Yep.
But you'll get your Sydney jockeys go to, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So the carnivals rotate. You got like your Sydney Spring.
Yep.
Then you got your winter Brisbane, and then they go to Melbourne towards autumn. And so what I'm trying to say is the Brisbane carnival was actually not the most lucrative. Or the Magic Millions in January is prize money wise.
Yep.
But lucrative for jockeys.
Definitely.
He's definitely
It's where all the big players come together.
correct. So if he doesn't do that hard work, Regan, on a horse like Aerodrome,
Someone else gets on it, and
100%.
if it takes off, he's gone.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's gone.
Yeah.
There'll be someone clipping on your heels to fill your spot.
100%.
It's like anything. But in this game, it's extra. it's like you're replaced like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, on the horses, it was an average day. I had Tenzing at each way. It come through. True Marvel got fifth. It was on a 3,200 metre race. It come out and wanted to lead the whole way. Obviously, 3,200's a
hard to do.
Very, very long way. It ended up coming fifth, so it wasn't too bad of a ride. As I said, Floozy got up. Aerodrome I had each way. It come fifth. Punch Lane was a bit disappointing. War Machine obviously won that race well, and Private Eye first start come back well as well. It comes second. I love Private Eye.
Yeah, he's been a good horse for him.
Yeah,
I'll give it that. And the big Nash, I get along with Nash good. He gets the best at any horse he rides, and
doesn't he ever?
Yeah.
He's obviously from the outside in. He's one jockey that you look at, and if you're unsure of the horse, like if I'm looking at it for a punt and I'm looking and going, oh, I don't know, and I see Nash's on it, I'm like, he'll just ride it home. Like,
yeah, his race sense is just second to none, and being like we talk about being at the top of your game, he's a bloke that's been at the top of his game for a very, very long time, and way before my time, and he's still doing it. So, and you know yourself, to be at the top, especially in a sport and a heavyweight like Nash, you're training and keeping your body fit 11 months of the year, and competing against the best, and Nash gets the best heavy horses still as an older jockey, and it's just good to see, because he's a great guy to be out in the race. He pulls some funny things in manoeuvres in races sometimes, and pays off it, but that's what he's known for. And the best thing, he's competitive. You can see him in the race. You can see him come in sometimes, and he's always thinking, and he gets himself down a little bit when he gets beaten. You know what? It's a good thing, because the day that you don't come in and you're not a little bit down, if you've cost the horse a win, or if something's happened in a race, you just got to give it away.
Mate, Tiger Woods, when he was 16, in one of his interviews with a reporter, it's viral at the moment, because they're sitting there going, oh, it's your first PGA tournament this weekend, blah, blah, blah. What's a good goal for you? And he said, first. And old mate just laughed and said, mate, you're 16 years old, coming up against, Rory, Phil Mickelson, all that. And he said, no, like, I'm here to win. Second's bad, and third's even worse. And he's sitting there going, oh, you'll learn. And he goes, no. He said, like, my mindset is I don't come to a tournament to lose. You always want to win. And it's viral now, because they're all sitting there going, that reporter is just an absolute spastic. Like, to look at how he's gone.
Yeah, been the best. And they come back year after year after year.
Yep.
And then even, like, everyone gets injuries in sport,
yeah.
Especially when you're an athlete. Like, I've had some shocking injuries, and it's not every day you're at work getting followed around by an ambulance, but them injuries actually take you a bit to come back from, mentally and physically.
Definitely. Because
it's it's hard, and for Tiger, he's had plenty.
Oh, yeah.
He's come back after long layoffs, I'm like...
His most recent one was a car accident.
Yeah. Yeah, and come back and still perform at the best. It's not easy.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, I put 100 in on the horses, got 150 back, so it wasn't the best, but I ended up throwing it all on Jack Bostock, first try scorer for the Dolphins, and it got up, so I ended up with like $800. So
that was a demolition job.
Yeah, wasn't it ever?
That was a demolition. I had to turn it off. I was just sitting and watching it.
I was tossing up between him or Herbie Farnworth, and I was like, no, I'll go Jack. And Herbie actually didn't score out of the 50 points that they scored, and Jack ended up scoring 4, could have been 6, I think he bombed one.
Yeah.
But no, it was a good afternoon. Mate, we've spoken about the horse and jockey bond. What's your favourite horse to ride? Probably not your best or most memorable. Obviously, Know Thyself is probably one of the most recent. But what has been your favourite horse to ride?
Yeah, obviously, at the moment, definitely Know Thyself.
Yep.
And he's it would be him. Yeah, it would be him or a horse. Actually, I'll tell you a horse who had 4 rides on for 4 wins, and they sold him to Hong Kong for $2 million, and they'd been these owners. So Hong Kong have got, like, the money over there is astronomical. So they've got people that have used Australians that sourcing horses for them to take over there.
Right.
And it's a very lucrative market for horses in Australia to get sold to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So anyways, this horse that I rode him his first 4 starts, won his first 4.
Mm-hmm.
Owners come and said to me, which was Australian bloodstock, how good do you think he is, Aaron? I said, have a look at the semaphore board. It was his 4th starting race, 2,000 metre race at Wyong, ran home in 33. They struggle to do that over 1,000.
Correct.
I said, if that's not Group 1 times, and we're going down the back straight, and he's lent and bit the horse next to him, Yeah, crazy, mate. I've never had a horse do it. Lent and just bit the horse, and then went back to doing his business about just being a racehorse, and won by about 8, running through the line. I've never gone over the winning line at Wyong, and it dips off and goes to the right.
Yep.
Mate, it felt like he was airborne. And like, that was the end of a 22,000 metre race. Anyways, long story short, they said, how good do you think he is? And I said, he's Group 1 horse for sure. And anyway, so this person that was sourcing horses for the Hong Kong guys, they'd been sourcing them from Australia for 10 years trying to win the Hong Kong Derby. Never won it before, with the horses they've sourced to take over there.
Yep.
Anyways, Australian Bloodstock sold him over there for $2 million to him. Anyways, he won the lead up to the Derby. No, I think he won second or third in the lead up.
Yep.
He won 2 before the lead up to the lead up to the Derby. So he won his first 2 starts over there with Hugh Bowman on. Then he got beat the lead up, which is like the Derby preview.
Yes.
But Bowman learned a valuable lesson from that, how he's going to ride him in the Derby. So from him getting beaten that, he changed the way to ride him in the Derby, which, as fate would have it, he won the Derby.
Yeah, right.
And the Derby's like, just in them 2
Do you know, what's the name of that horse? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was getting to that. It was, I had it on the tip of your tongue there. 2 secs.
Where'd you race that? Wyong.
Yeah, Furore.
Furore. Yep.
F-U-R-O-R-E.
Yep.
Furore. Or Furore. We used to call him Furore.
Yep.
But in Hong Kong they'd call him Furore.
Yeah.
And when you actually sell horses to Hong Kong, you can change their name.
Really?
Yeah, but they never changed his name.
Yeah.
So anyways, Furore his name was. But anyways, he ended up winning the Derby. And mate, they made their money back tenfold. But anyways, as a horse in a race, he was one of my favourites to ride. But and all horses that actually, apart from a good horse,
yes,
but horses that actually do everything you want them and give you 100% are always enjoyable to ride.
Yep.
But him, I was unbeaten on him, 4 from 4. Then they sold him, never got on him again. He actually had 2 races here in the Derby here before he went overseas, and Abdullah rode him. But another one of my favourites, like I said, apart from the Minute, which is Know Thyself, is a horse that I've won the same amount of wins as Know Thyself. So I've won 6 on a horse called Pera Pera, and 6 on a horse called Know Thyself.
Yep.
And that's the most I've ever won on a horse.
Yep.
Know Thyself's still racing, so he might take the title.
Yep.
But Pera Pera, he was a special horse to me. He was owned by Guri, and it was Mr. Kukwenko. He owns heaps breweries in the Philippines, and anyways, Pera Pera stands for money.
Yeah, righto.
And he owned Guri's stud at Mudgee.
Yep.
So anyways, I won 6 on him. He was a good horse to me.
That's
good
awesome.
Horse. But yeah, he's probably my favourite to ride. They're all.
Yep.
There's not much in between them.
Definitely.
Yeah, and the best I probably rode in a race with the CV would have to be a horse called Le Romain.
Yep.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Winks, he won. I'm pretty sure 3 Group 1s.
Yes.
If it wasn't for Winks, I reckon. If I went through his record, I'd definitely run 3 seconds to her.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd be a 6-time Group 1 winner.
Wow.
The most wins Chris has ever won with a horse, like the most wins Chris Lee's ever won with one horse Group 1 perspective.
Yes.
Is Le Romain 3, Lucia Valentina 3, and there might be one more that he won 3, but he never won more than 3 with one horse. So that just shows you how good he was. And if Winks wasn't around, he would have been.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
He would have won. He would have won 4 Group 1s, but well, it might be 2 or 3. But anyways, yeah, he's probably the best I've rode in a race.
Yep.
I ran 3rd on him. One of the $1 million races they have every second Saturday, sort of at the back end of the carnival.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a good horse.
Do you remember riding my donkey?
Yeah, what was his name?
With Todd, Free Rider.
Yeah, that was. He's actually bought that off Paul Massara.
Yeah, we did.
We won 3 or 4 with him, and then he went online for digital sale, and then you guys bought him there.
He's out at Mum and Dad's at the moment, just
is he?
cruising in the paddock. Yeah,
poor buggy, he didn't have the best legs.
No, he didn't. That was my first horse. That was my first ever horse.
Yeah, right.
And Todd rang me. He said, "Coop," he said, "Mate," he said, "we need to get rid of it." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You have the majority share." He said, "What do you want to do with it?" I said, "Just throw it at Mum and Dad's. We'll just have it as a pet horse, whatnot." But I got into a horse recently with Nathan Doyle, Midnight Opal.
Good trainer.
Very good trainer. It's gone well, Midnight Opal. It's
His cousins are actually Jishy Bailey, Jai Bailey,
Yeah.
similar career.
Yep, correct. Yep. And he's on fire at the moment as well. Nathan with his form and the amount of horses that he's got in his percentage of wins.
Yep. He's another one that you could say, as we were talking about before, he came into the game, didn't sort of work out, then he went out of the game and went and worked for Snowden's and learned a bit more and come back into the game, and then he's just obviously, like I said, knocked off the ladder, and he come back and got knocked off again, and he's come back and now he's killing. And you learn to do things better, and Nate's been he's been a privilege to watch actually, because I've obviously been in Newcastle since 2017. He's been training there since, I'm pretty sure, 2020.
Yeah, be close. Yep.
Yeah, he's been there since then, and it's been good to watch his
definitely
watch his rise and give Chrissy Lees and Paul Perry a bit of competition. New young fella on the block. It's been good to watch.
Definitely. You got 3 rides this weekend at Randwick on Saturday.
Yep.
What do you reckon?
Horse for Matty Dunn really impressed me when I won on him in the highway the other day, and that was a really good win. He put himself in a forward spot, which I love when horses can do that.
Yes.
You get up there and get yourself in a forward position, and you're going to be mighty hard to beat if you let down, because mathematically, if you can run home in 33 or 4, not much else behind you is given a chance. So,
which one's that? What do you got? You're on Gentilishi?
No, that's Paul Massara's.
Yep.
No,
Boys Night Out?
That's it, Boys Night Out, that's him, yeah.
Yep.
So I won a highway on him. Yeah, he's coming out of highway grade, which is hard.
Yes.
Into benchmark grade, but I feel it's the right time of year for him. The carnival's on in Brisbane. It's sort of a little bit weaker now. Like, I don't like to use the word weak when it comes to Sydney racing.
Definitely, 100%.
But you get what I mean. He's coming back to town in a benchmark race, which is, look, it's going to be harder than the highway.
Yep.
But I've ridden plenty of horses to know that he'll be mighty competitive. He's going to be very hard to beat.
And you've got a Paul Massara horse, you said, in
Gentileschi.
race 4. Yep.
Yeah, her last 2 runs have been very good with Andy Atkins on her. She's just missed.
Mm-hmm.
Been a victim of circumstances in runs, which can happen.
Yep.
And she's been beaten like a photo finish. It was like, in my whole career, I've never seen a photo finish any closer. And that was at Scone Cup Day.
Yes.
And then the last start, she got beat, I think, a neck. But I rode her 3 runs ago and won on her by about 4 at Musselbrook in a lot weaker race than she's been the last 2.
Yep.
And the one she's in on Saturday. But look, up to 1800.
Yep. Correct.
And she's going to be in for a good sight. She's a horse that's got a really good turn of foot, and when they can possess that, which we know she can at the end of 1800.
Yep.
It's a great attribute to have.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I've ridden it before, so it's another thing.
You got that
confidence,
bonus,
and you know what you can do on them.
Definitely.
Like I get off some horses sometimes, Coop, and say, I wish I had a ride on this thing.
Like free rider.
Yeah, I wish I had a ride on this thing. I would have won. Like I just,
Yep.
because you learn some can sustain, like she can sustain a good 600. So if you need to get going a little bit early, if the tempo is a little bit slow or fast or whatever, you can go a little bit early. If it's not, you know what I mean.
And that's where that bond comes into it. The jockey
you can just
horse
make
bond.
manoeuvres in races where you know that they've got it. Yeah. And then
Definitely.
I'm not sure about the other horse.
King Rattel.
Yeah, I've
Race
picked up a horse there for what's the trainer's name again?
Just go into it. Bryce Hayes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good trainer. He doesn't have a lot of
By
horses.
Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of horses in work, but yeah, I don't know much about it. But if he's got it in town, he's a good trainer, and he'll be preparing it to run well.
Yeah, definitely. No other races coming up this weekend?
Sunday off, Monday.
Beautiful.
Got some good rides Monday.
Beautiful.
I only know a couple now, but one there I won from Paul Massara. I won on Friday on Scone Cup Day called Solitario.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in a Class 1.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yep.
Class 1 1200 country only, I'm pretty sure it is. So
Yep. And where's that at?
Scone on Monday.
Scone on Monday. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Mate, we'll get into a bit of footy. A bit of local footy. So we've got, obviously, Kez has come back and he's coaching the Singleton Greyhounds. We've been going pretty well. We've got the Brown boys back. One of your mates, Jake Hardy, he's been playing. He actually done his back on the weekend. I'm not sure if he told you. He got old man syndrome. He come on the field for 90 seconds. and he was running, and his back, just no one touched him, his back just gave way, and he's on the ground, he's stiff as a bloody doorknob, and they've had to carry him off. I saw him at the Athletics Carnival on Monday with the kids there, and he was getting some bone therapy and getting rubbed out, but yeah, the old age got to him.
Yeah, well, you don't realise, like, you're a little bit younger than me, Coop, but like, I'm 34, and your body definitely changes. Like, I know I do a lot of things now to just keep your body in the groove, and you get sore, and we're lucky with our industry. We've got sports physios and massages, and we've got our own doctors, we've got everything. Like, we're looked after astronomical. But these boys have got to remember they're getting older, and like, I laugh at them playing, and look, it's good to see him come back. It's good to see Kerrod do that. I know that obviously it'd be a time in my career when I finished like him, and he sort of wasn't sure what path he'd take, and it's good to see him do this because he's been great for the club before his football career and hopefully after. But it's good to see a few of the old roughheads back, especially them Brown boys. And
you got the Brown boys. You got Miller. Miller's come back.
Good to get Miller back. Like I suppose you could play for as long as you want. I remember running Dad on as a kid. He just played the pub like footy comp all weekend in Tumut, and I can remember as a kid running him on, and we were 4 or 5 year old. Dad and Mum had me and Brad when they were 27, so look, Dad would have had to have been 31 or 2. And for him to run on, like for us to run him on there, and like it's only 2 years younger than I am now, so I don't think he played much after that, but these boys are getting on, and I'd say there'd be a few injuries, or they'll be looking for them weekends when they got to buy.
Mate, so this weekend, it's my first game back this weekend. I've been off with a bit of suspension recently, but Lewis Hamilton come back last weekend. He's played down there in the Newcastle comp, first grade comp there for a while. He come back for us on the weekend, had a blinder, he got player's player. This weekend's my first week back, going straight to first grade due to injury. So I think we've got 8 injuries, which as expected with, Kez has brought a lot of boys back, a lot of them with age as well. But the young fellas are coming through in the 18s and that. They've come through and they've really stepped up. So we're at a bit of a tough point in the comp at the moment where we lost to Scone on the weekend. We got Greeter, who are the top dogs this weekend. And we're sitting about 2nd, 3rd. So we're going well. We've got a little bit of depth there in the young kids. But yeah, the old ones, it's they're getting to the middle of the season. They're going.
Good, he's got Louis Hamilton back.
He's
a good young kid, actually. Funny, he's in Newcastle for a lot of years. I think he still lives down there with his partner.
He does, yep, Adamstown. Yep.
Yeah, you see me jogging plenty of times around Newcastle in sweat gear.
Yep.
Anyone that doesn't know me down there probably thinks who's this man, 40 degree day, but Louis gives me the old shout every now and then.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a good fellow, Louis.
Yeah. I think a couple of young boys, Tumut boys he's got there, well, their parents were Tumut, was Jerkins boys. They're going good.
Yep. Brock Jerkins is in Reggie's at the moment, playing 9.
And the younger brother is in the first, isn't he?
He's in first grade, mate. He's a big body. He's been going well. He played fullback for us last weekend. He's not quite up to the fullback stage yet, I don't think. He was filling in, and he done a very good job to fill in for us there. I think he's going to come to the centre or wing this weekend, so hopefully he plays out of his shoes. And
very good.
He's young. He played 18s last year, I believe. So it's good to see them come through.
We brought up with their family. Jerkins, they're from down Trim as well.
Yeah, right. Is that where you are from?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, they're from his father. Well, their father worked with my dad on the roads for many years.
Yep.
Yeah, but they're all Chimut boys.
Yeah, there you go.
They never grew up there. They grew up here, but their family did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mate, moving on to this weekend, so there's actually not many big races this weekend, I don't believe. It's a quieter weekend that we've had. I've only got a few here, so my best of the day I've gone race 8 at Flemington, Jimmy the Bear, with Tom Treble on it. It's 4th up. It's come 1st, 2nd, 1st so far, so again, going off a pattern, it'll probably come 2nd, but that's my best for this weekend, Jimmy the Bear.
He's doing well, that young Treble.
Yep.
He's
he an apprentice too?
Yeah, his father was a very good jockey.
Really?
Yeah, Brett Preble.
Yeah.
He's not long retired actually, but the young kid's coming through and doing a great job. It's good to see.
Well, hopefully he gets a win for me on the weekend. Randwick Race 6, Quantum Cat. Zach Lloyd's on it. Again, 4th start. Loves the distance. Prefers a soft ground. I don't know how it's not going to be soft at Randwick. We've had a lot of rain. I would assume.
Yeah, we haven't had dry weather, so I know a lot of the tracks haven't had rain in the last week, but they've still been very wet.
Still be soft.
Yeah. look, down there dries off good.
Yep.
I'd say I couldn't see it getting better than a 5 or a 6.
Yep.
But like at the end of the day, if it was to be a 5 in my opinion is perfect racing conditions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's about where you want to be, 4 to a 5. But
yep.
yeah, and if they can just still that down.
Correct. Race 8, I've gone Woolwyn. So Nathan Doyle horse hasn't performed in its first 3 starts, but they've both been in Group 3s. It come third in a benchmark 78 last start, and it's going into 78 again. So Nath being Nathan and the man he is, he's obviously dropped it back in class from the Group 3 to the benchmark 78, and I think by its last performance third, I think, with a bit of confidence, it's paying $16, so I've gone on that for a bit of an each way. And race 9 is probably the hardest race. All the good horses are in that race. It's are you in that race? No, you're in race 8.
4, 5, and 8, mate. I'm out of there.
Yeah.
We're on the road.
So race 9 has Headley Grange with Jason Clett on it. I love Jason Clett.
Yeah,
He's
great
one of
rider.
my favourite jockeys, I reckon.
Yeah, I think you mightn't like him as much as Corey Brown. Corey Brown's always raving him. He's best wet track rider.
Really?
Yeah, Brown loves him, and he does the broadcast and that.
Yeah.
But and I'd have to concur with Brown. He's a great rider and very, very professional at his job. Yeah, Jace I've had a good couple of conversations with him in the jockeys room, and he's a great guy. Kiwi fella that's come over here and been very, very successful.
I think the reason I like him is because he, so my horse Midnight Opal, that's actually Midnight Opal there. I got my first win with Midnight. So he actually, it's won 4 from 6 Midnight, and Jace has ridden 3 of them. So again, just having that first win in the horse industry and having him on board, I've kind of just gone, right.
Yeah, well, you follow him.
Man. Yeah.
It's like, you just follow him, like, but he's... Yeah, you can't go wrong with Jay, so I'll give you that, mate. He's one of the best in Sydney.
Mate, so I've gone, on race 9, I've gone a same race multi. I've gone Greenfly and Headley Grange top 4. Dark Glitter is the first emergency, so if it comes in, I've gone all 3 of them top 4. So that'll be a good little one if it gets up.
Done your homework.
Done my homework. I love it, mate. I was saying that a couple of weeks ago. Like, I've kind of stopped watching the footy now, and I just... me and Paige watch Netflix every now and again and watch whatever series we're watching.
Very into the form.
Love this, love this. I Wednesday night when it comes out, like before you got here, I had a good look, and then I'll have another look on Friday or Saturday morning. Actually, get up, have a coffee before the kids get up.
Yeah, distractions. And
track changing.
The weather.
Yep. I love it. I don't know. It's just something about it. It's good.
Yeah, it's good industry.
It is.
I love it. It's hard to get out of. I know that. I couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, before we wrap up, a few quick questions. Last week we told the audience you were coming on. We put a few comments there in YouTube and Spotify, and a few people have put some questions in there for you. What's your favourite race course?
Favourite race course?
Yep, race track, sorry.
I'd have to say Scone.
Scone? Home track. Would Mussy be a home track, or...?
Well, like... Living in Singleton and growing up in Singleton, Todd trained at Cessnock and Muswellbrook.
Yep.
So you could divide them.
Yes.
So I never really had home track, unless you go out here to Whittingham and try to get the old racetrack going again.
That'd be good.
The old race course
yeah, definitely.
But look, I really like Scone, just to love the way it's set up.
Yep.
Every horse gets a fair chance. It's got the chute for the sprint races. It's got the long back straight, long straight.
Definitely.
Big circle turns. I feel that I ride that track well.
Yep.
And look, I'd love to say Randwick, but I don't ride down there all the time.
For sure.
So I'm not going to be just saying Randwick for the sake of it, but
definitely.
I feel my favourite track is the one I ride the best.
Definitely.
And the one that I actually, it's
no, that's
a great track. Yeah, I'd say Scone. I obviously had my first race ride at Tamworth.
Yes.
That always hold a bit of a memorable thing. And all I ever dreamt of from the time I had my first race ride was I've got to win the Tamworth Cup.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah.
And then Muswellbrook, it means a lot because that was my first winner, and I've done a lot of track work there.
Yep.
But yeah, my favourite track, I'd have to say.
No, that's perfect. Did you have any hidden hobbies outside of the racing industry?
Yeah, so obviously many years ago I loved racing motorbikes, and obviously soon learned pretty quickly you can get injured on them, so I'll give that to Brad. So that hobby went out the window. I love playing touch football.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, I love
this. So I didn't. I was on here 3 weeks ago and I had my New South Wales jersey on, and put on a bit of weight in the last 6 months, and it was extremely tight. So a few of the boys ripping on me. So today, I played.
Don't worry, this thing's shrunk a bit too.
Yeah,
I won't be putting this in the dryer again.
It's not good, but I got my New South Wales touch footy shirt out. That's probably my most memorable thing that I've done is played touch footy for New South Wales. I love that. So actually, I would have been 17. I got this out and it still fits me. So obviously it was swimming on me.
Your
back
brother
then.
made state touch and that. I was never as good as him at touch footy. But yeah, I love playing touch footy. So to answer that question, I broke my leg playing touch football, and then I soon learned that I got to sort of give away the motorbikes, the touch footy, or anything outside of racing where I can get injured. So them sort of hobbies went.
Yep.
So now on my days off, I love going to Maxie Hallett's farm and giving him a hand with farm work.
Yep.
Or I love going for a hunt. I love going shooting or setting up targets, or that's sort of a bit of a hobby.
Yep.
In my downtime, and look, it keeps me away from the fridge.
Yep.
Gets me out of the house. Gets me walking the hills.
Definitely.
And
Keeps you active.
he's got a beautiful farm out there in Morenni.
Yep.
But yeah, that's sort of what I like to do in my downtime. But now, to be honest, I haven't done that since the little fella's been born. It's just me and the wife. But yeah, the things I love to play, I would do. I soon learnt that they're hard to do because
definitely.
Yeah, if I get injured, then I've
got to
look
look
at
that discipline and how hard it is every single day. Yeah.
You got to look after. I've got to look after the body because if my body's injured, I don't have a job. Like you can think and your job's in your mind.
Yeah.
And you can still make things happen.
Correct.
Well, I can't do that. Mine's physical. Yeah.
And that's, as you said at the start of the podcast here, like everything you do is work. You're thinking about it. Where like as I can go on holidays and work from there, I can play footy on the weekend and break my leg and still come home and work on a Monday. Like for you, it's completely different. You got to think about all these things.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't do anything like you're out injured. You're not getting paid.
Yeah. Exactly. Do you have any pre-race rituals? Anything or any, like, you wear the same undies every race day or anything that you go, I've got to do that before I race? Like what?
No. I've never been one of them people like to stick to certain things or be a conspiracy. They'll be like, oh, that was lucky or I better use that. And I hear a lot of jockeys talk about it. I'm just very, I've got a routine that I stick to.
Mm-hmm.
I prepare my weight, I prepare my rides. I love having everything in place. A couple of the boys joke about it all the time. I'll be the cleanest.
Bit of OCD.
Yeah, a little bit of OCD. Yeah, I love having everything in place and everything's got a position. I think that's the main thing that I do with riding. If something's out of place or not in the right spot or anything like that, like if my bag's not packed right, not that I have to repack it or anything like that, but I just have everything in a spot. So when I get there, open my bag, put the towel on the bench that seat I'm sitting on, and then you just unpack what you need for that. Because you got to remember that's my tools.
Correct.
So you got your saddles, which we got to supply everything. You got to remember we supply everything. Like we've got to weigh on the scales with. So you got your saddles, your clothes, and then the trainers and the owners, they just bring the colours. Yeah. So more or less, I just love having everything. Everything's got a spot. Everything stays neat and tidy, and then when I get the races, it's there for
consistency.
Me. And then and you got to remember bang 30-minute breaks.
Yeah.
So we've got to be in, out, in, out. You got to weigh in, weigh out, weigh in, weigh out, and 8 times a day, on the scales, off the scales. Like it's all like that. So for me, I don't really. There's not much that I there's not really anything like.
Nothing crazy.
Nah.
Just have everything in place.
Yeah, everything's just
routine.
Routine. Yeah, and stick to it. It's what works for me. A lot of trial and error. Not so much trial and error, but for me, I function best when everything's just
going right.
Yeah. Tidy and I've got everything like. And so I say to young kids coming through now, mate, like no one likes a lazy person. Clean your bag up, mate. Or put something in place, you know what I mean? Like it's and I feel because it can relate to what happens out there, you know.
Correct.
Like, get a bit of go, like have a bit.
Definitely. So if any of the jockeys want to, I guess, get one up on you in a race, they'll just start moving your shit around and misplacing stuff and.
I've done it a few times. Hit me bag in the covers and that, but that's
cool. That's the fun of it.
It's a banner in there, and you know the funny thing about it is like everyone who finishes riding says how much they'll miss the jockey's room. They'll miss the banner, they'll miss the boys.
I've heard a few stories about the jockey's room.
And they got to remember, like we're in there as a group, and like you got the girls, the males, and then we've got like it's phenomenal. Like we're looked after. We've got a full kitchen. We've got a gym. We've got a person who does massaging.
Wow.
Got spas. Like it's like a little commune for 4 hours a day while you're competing. competing at your best to do the best for the
Definitely.
trainers and owners. The camaraderie in the jockeys' rooms is great because I know myself. Once I put the goggles on, mate, she's game on. Like I might laugh and you see me joke around and I might look cool, calm and collected, and I am.
Yep.
But once them goggles go on, mate, she's game on now.
Yep. Mate, that's all I've got for you. That's a wrap. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate coming down.
My pleasure.
I do have one more question for you in a second, but for everyone listening at home, just remember to get on, like, follow, share, and comment. We're actually giving away $500, so every month, we're going to put it in a hat. Anyone that likes, shares, comments, or subscribes, we'll put it in a hat, throw it out. We give a $500 giveaway every month, so get on and do that. But one thing before we go, question for yourself is, if you could wire something into someone's brain for success, what would be the most important thing you would do?
I've been asked similar questions many times, and to me it's a straightforward answer. You just never give up.
Yep.
Never give up, because whatever you want to do, success is looked at different for every person. But for me, successful is just achieving in my career is being the best I can be.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? For me to be the best I can be, it's took me, I wouldn't say I hope I'm not the best I can be. Yeah, I hope that I can be a bit better than what I am.
Perfect.
But it's took me 15 years to get to where I am now, and that's through not giving up. I could have given up 100 times, so the best way I could explain it, and for anyone out there listening or young kids want to do any career is just never give up, because it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And if you can just be patient, and you'll have a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. There'll be a lot of doubt in yourself. There'll be a lot of why
It's part of the learning curve, though. That's
but just be patient.
Yep.
Just never give up, and always try to do things better.
Yep.
Yeah, because some people get so far, and I know myself, and you might get past that point till you change certain things.
Yep.
And then you'll get a little bit further, and like I said, success is based on everyone different. Like for me, it's just about being the best I can.
Definitely.
Because I can't say, I want to be like Hugh Bowman and ride 100 Group 1 winners, because unfortunately it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But you got to be a realist, and
Definitely.
for me it's just being the best I can be. But for any young kid out there wanting to do anything, and not even being a jockey, like listeners aren't even, they're not going to be jockeys.
Sure.
They could be a punter, but it's you just got to never give up.
Yep.
Always give it 100%, and you'll fail more times than you succeed, but never give up.
Mate, and that's a part of, that's the biggest part, especially with business, is you've got to fail, you've got to get knocked down to learn how to not make that happen again. Because
100%.
if you're going through and you're cruising through and you're thinking this is easy, you're not trying hard enough.
No, it's not going to get handed to you.
Not at all.
Nothing gets handed to you. And if it gets handed to you, it's too easy.
Correct. Try harder.
It's too easy.
Awesome, mate. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.